Well, I'm Emma, and this is the Alpha Sessions, and we're here with Sabrina Parker. Hello.
Hello, hello.
How's it going?
Yeah, very well, very well. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I've just reached the bottom of a very strong coffee, so I'm starting to feel a bit...
Oh, you're going to be a bit wired.
But, yeah, we'll see how this goes. So, I've heard you actually played twice today, already.
Yes.
Which I feel quite privileged about.
I appreciate that you think it's a privilege and not like an annoyance and just like,
No,
oh God, this girl again.
Privilege. It's not very often that you get to hear someone live twice in a day.
See,
that's pretty cool.
When I was living with my flatmates last year and there was all the shower singing, they were just like, please stop.
I reckon that'd be pretty awesome to have a musician as a housemate.
They did tend
you
to
get free
like
live music all the time.
They would just like turn off their music that they were listening to because they would just
like, oh yeah, that's the brain next door.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So how did all this music stuff start?
I think I've always been singing, much to the annoyance of many people. I started writing songs when I was probably around 6 or 7.
How does that work?
I don't even...
As a 6 or 7-year-old?
I always loved reading poetry.
Wow.
When I was growing up, and I loved music. Like, I loved listening to Stevie Wonder and James Morrison and Katie Tunstall, and they just had like so much passion, and I was like, I want to do that. And so I started singing, and I started singing lessons, but it's quite hard to get onto the gig circuit if you can't accompany yourself. So I found out that Katie Tunstall started playing guitar, I think it was 13 or 14, and I was like, oh man, gotta get on it. So I started learning guitar, and that's how I kind of came into it.
And at what point did you realise, okay, music is my thing?
Oh, probably at actually, it was kind of strange. I was deciding between theatre and music, because my mum's in theatre, but I've always loved doing music. And there was a point where I was working with Royal Academy of Dramatic Art for a year while I was in my last year of school. And I really enjoyed it, and it was great fun, but I got to sing in the play as well. And I realised when I got on stage to sing, I liked it so much better than when I got on stage to act. So I was like, you know what, this is my thing. This is what makes me happy, so I'm going to go with it.
Awesome. Let's talk about Katie Tunstall briefly, because we've only been chatting for about a couple of minutes, and you've already mentioned her twice.
To say I'm a big fan is kind of an understatement. Yeah.
She's pretty awesome.
She is.
So when did you start to like Katie?
Can we
call her Katie? Is this like first
Katie,
name term?
You know, I feel like we've known her long enough. I think we're on first name basis. No, you know, my mum got me her first album, Eye to the Telescope, when it came out. I think it was like maybe 2007. I don't know. Around then. Yeah. Around then, some kind of that ballpark area. And she just, I don't know how she writes these songs that are just so amazing.
What is it about her that makes you go, oh my God, that's amazing?
I think her lyric writing is very important to me. Like, when I listen to any artist, I don't just listen to the melodies they write. I very specifically listen to the lyrics, and that's the thing I find. That's why I really like people like, you know, London Grammar and James Morrison and people like that. But Katie Tunstall, I think, has a real kind of poetic twist to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed her work. Yeah.
So do you think there's an element of her work that feeds into yours?
I think so. I think she kind of got me onto the kind of folky indie route, because I was on quite like a pop musical, you know, I was young, I was like, oh yeah I want to be Britney Spears. So I think she got me into the indie music.
What, you don't want to be Britney Spears?
I mean, I always want to be Britney Spears. But which stage of Britney Spears is the question.
I don't know, there's so many.
I think the what's it, Lucky.
Yep, fair.
Yeah, that's the Britney Spears I'd like to be.
You've had the pleasure of playing in loads of different cities.
Yes.
Have you got a favourite city that you've played in?
Oh my God. Well, I had really unique experiences when I played in New York, because I played in New York I think 2 or 3 times. And, you know, it's great and it's really receptive, but it's quite similar to the London music scene. But when I played in Tokyo, it was...
Is that really hard, like, to get... to find the opportunities to be able to play in a totally different city that isn't in your network? Mm-hmm. How does that work? Because you can't just turn up one day and go, "Hi guys, I'm here, can I play?" Like, how is that thing?
It's kind of weird. I kind of did exactly that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, like, with New York, it was this cafe that we'd been to many, many times, and we saw they had this flyer up, you know, open mic night on Thursday or whatever, and so I just contacted them, and they let me come by, because they quite like hearing, like, oh, a musician from London. It's so exciting. But with Tokyo, it was literally because we were staying in, like, an Airbnb type place right above this little bar that did, like, an open mic night.
Okay.
And so my parents went down for a drink, And they came up to grab me and my sister, and they were like, Sabrina, it's an open mic night. You have to get down there. You've got your guitar. Go. And I was like, oh, I don't want to. It's late. I'm tired. I'm only like 15. I'm shy. Don't make me. And she was like, you have to go. This is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Yeah. And it was amazing. Like, people were so nice, so receptive.
To say that, oh yeah, I've just played in Tokyo.
You know, just playing in Tokyo. Awesome. Just how I do. Yeah.
That I gave you went straight on the shelf. Couldn't have said it better myself. The dreams that we'd sheltered were left far behind. What a beautiful waste of time. Now you stretch out those arms to reach me, but there's nothing left for you to teach me. You reached out to me while I was still healing, but I've got no room for your colorful feelings, where the songs that I wrote you and call them fine. What a beautiful waste of time. You live only in chapters, what I still recall, like Romans remember the rise and the fall, loop stitched together like Frankenstein. What a beautiful waste of time. Now 3 springs have passed between, much more than I thought I'd see. You reached out to me while I was still healing, but I've got no room for your colorful feelings, where the songs that I wrote you and call them fine. What a beautiful waste of time. What a beautiful waste of time.
The Alpha Sessions.
So you've got your latest single at the moment, which is called Write You Down.
Yeah, so that was the first single I released with Man in the Moon, and that came out in January of this year, I think, around then, January, February.
Yeah.
Oops.
And then there's a second one as well, right?
Yeah, so Babysit Your Happiness came out in June, July.
So what's that about?
So Write You Down is about, like, you know, being really in love with someone and being unable to describe, you know, all the amazing things that they are and what they do for you and how they've improved your life and how it's really hard to articulate that, which ironically I've articulated and wrote a song about. But and then Babysit Your Happiness was about a previous relationship where it's kind of like shouldering the burden of someone else's joy and someone else's emotions and how that takes a toll on you if you're responsible for someone else's happiness.
Interesting.
Yeah, very deep, very deep. Let's ponder that for a minute.
So is there ever going to be a disc or an EP with them both on, or?
So what's currently happening is we're just focusing on those 2 singles. Okay. I'd ideally like to work on an EP in the coming year. Yeah. But I think I'd like to put out a couple new singles before I do that.
Sweet.
That's my ideal. Yeah.
Is that a favourite single, or is it kind of like choosing your favourite child?
It is like choosing a favorite child. Yeah, it's like I love you both, but I love you a little bit more. Well, obviously, I think I really liked the process of writing Babysit Your Happiness. It was quite cathartic and quite emotional, and I have a lot of ties to that song. But Write You Down, like, I think also because of the way that the video was made. It was made by this company called Oliver's Island, and it was just such a wonderful... I got to meet so many people. They just put me on, you know, the high street, and they got me to meet like a bunch of different people and say hello to them, and they just recorded me. Actually, we had a proposal while we were filming the video.
What?
Yeah, and the woman actually found my video, and apparently they used a grab from my video as their engagement announcement video on Facebook.
Oh,
yeah.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, so I think honestly, just because of them, I kind of feel very attached to that song.
Oh, that's really cute.
Yeah.
Have you seen them again since?
Well, I've had 2 messages from her. One saying, you know, oh, we found your video, we're so excited. Actually, 3 messages.
And the second one saying, play at our wedding.
I wish. Megan, if you're listening, I'm so down for that. No, the second one was saying, like, we just got our... So basically, one of them is from the States and one of them is from England. And they were trying to get a license so they could both move, I think, either to England or the States, I can't remember. And she contacted me just to say, just to let you know, we've got our license.
Oh, it's so cute.
I feel really involved in their lives now. I like it. I like it.
No, it's a good thing. Definitely a good thing. So you are signed to Man and Moon Records?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. How did that come about?
Well, weird story. James was this guy who was my downstairs neighbour, and he introduced me to Nick because he'd known Nick for years. He'd been working with Nick, and he just kind of figured, you know, oh, this is a good person. I'll just bring them you and see what they think.
And this is Nick Stewart.
This is Nick Stewart. He is an amazing man. Honestly,
did you know like how not famous he was, but how I guess established he was in his field? Did you know that at the time, or did you just kind of go in there and be like, oh, hey guys?
Yeah, I knew, because he's very tall. Okay. He's very tall, so he's quite imposing as a figure. Like, he's lovely, but he's very tall, and so quite imposing from the start. So even if he wasn't famous, he'd still be like, oh man, oh, this is so intimidating, but cool. But yeah, I only really got to know how, you know, influential and amazing he was as I started working with the label. And yeah. Also, just following him on Instagram and seeing all the gigs he gets to go to, I'm just like, okay, I just want to reach that level at some point.
Do you feel like there's a lot of pressure?
Yeah, there is a lot of pressure. I think also because I'm balancing doing a university degree at the same time, it's kind of more pressure than I'm used to. But I think, you know, it's like that saying, you know, if you want something done, ask a busy person. Yeah, so 100%. Hopefully that will work out for me, like being busy.
Being busy is a good thing.
Being busy is a good thing. Definitely true. Yeah. And also I find I write a lot more music when I'm busy.
Because you have more to write about?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, if you're going places and doing things, like, I tend to write the most when I'm sitting on a bus. If I'm going from one place to another, because it's the one time in a day that my mind can actually wander.
So the key to that is don't learn to drive.
Exactly. Because otherwise I will get pulled over for being like, wait, I've got a lyric, I need to write it in my journal.
Won't write any more songs because you'll be driving and not on the bus. Which would be a sad state of affairs.
It would be a sad state of affairs. Okay, I won't learn how to drive then.
Hanging on the doorways, baby, you're treading on the wire again, playing on my heartstrings, strumming. I'm holding out my heart to break. You take the ebb and flow right from me. You foxtrot through the halls. I used to be empty, but now there's plenty more than just the falls. I try and write you down. Happy doesn't happen easy when everybody's out to break. But we fill these rooms with sunlight, and your smile opens up my sky. And darling, I've been washed away. beneath the words. I'm melting easy in your hands, and you're that easy thought to have. No longer freezing, and finally breathing. You bring the warm around again. I try and write you down. Freezing, finally breathing, you bring the warm around again. No longer freezing, finally breathing, you bring the warm around again. No longer freezing, finally breathing, you bring the warm around again. I try and write you down. I try and write you down.
The Alpha Sessions.
So if we were scrolling through your latest playlist, what would you find on there?
Oh, that I'd be listening to?
Yep.
Oh my god. I could give you like a really indie answer. The truthful answer.
Give me an honest answer.
Okay.
Like guilty pleasures a lot.
Oh my god. So I've just discovered that they have the Little Mermaid soundtrack on Spotify. And I've been listening to Part of Your World, both the first time and the reprise, several times a day. I find it kind of uplifts me. What's that?
You should definitely try and cover it.
I have done it in my singing lessons when I was about like 9 years old, but I will do it for you. I will do it for
amazing.
you, Emma. Yeah.
Okay.
But I've been listening to a lot of Billie Holiday as well, because I've recently got into listening to some Billie, and I love her.
I'll be honest, when I was asking that question, those weren't the answers I was
Billie Holiday and Ariel. I'm just so out of the box, you know, you can't pin me down.
Cool. Keeps you on your toes.
What's on your playlist?
What's on my playlist? Oh, I wasn't thinking this was going to be an interview the other way around.
Yeah,
No one's
yeah.
ever asked me that
I
question
flipped the
before.
script.
The script.
Yeah.
I like a band called The Smurrs.
Okay.
SMERZ.
Oh, cool.
Also like Hon.
Mm.
Went to see the Foo Fighters on Tuesday.
That
so
is very cool.
Those classics have come back out again.
I am very, very jealous that you went to see the Foo Fighters.
Yeah, they did this awesome cover with Rick Astley.
Oh my god.
Which
Never
I
gonna
still think is
give you
hilarious.
up. Never gonna let you down.
There you go, like that, exactly.
Great
it's like
song.
Rick Astley's in the room.
Oh, yep. That will be my next tribute act, will be Sabrina Parker is Rick Astley on tour. Actually, I went to a cover band festival this summer called Festwitch.
Festwitch?
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's amazing. It's in Prestwich in Manchester, and they get all the best cover bands from the UK.
What? Really?
So in one weekend, I got to see The Killers, Metallica, Iron Maiden, aka Noel Gallagher, who, by the way, followed me back on Twitter. Thank you, aka Noel Gallagher. But yeah, it's so great. So I was thinking to myself, like, oh, if I had to be a cover band, who would I be?
Yeah.
And it would be Ellie Goulding, because I do an Ellie Goulding impression.
Go on, give me your Ellie Goulding
Oh god, I shouldn't have. Okay. Okay. Stripped to the waist, we fall into the river. That is. Thank you. That is my Ellie Goulding impression.
That's very good.
You know how I said I would successfully embarrass myself at some point today? I've now done it. It's out of the way.
Pretty awesome.
Don't have to worry about it
we should take that audio out at the end of this interview and then snip it and then feed it back with Ellie Goulding at the front.
Oh, I like that.
So you can have it like she's actually singing it, but it's really
Ooh,
computer.
technical.
What's the word? Gimmicks.
Yeah. Shenanigans.
Shenanigans, exactly. So if we want to find out more about you, where can we go? What can we do?
So you can find me on all the social media platforms, so Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, anything. My website is sabrinaparker.co.uk. But yeah, if you just type my name into Google, you tend to find all my singles and the reviews of them and just, like, the premieres and things like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
These words that fall out of your mouth stun me, pin me down. You howl at me with no voice, so you took mine. Everyone else seems so beautifully broken. You were the first perfect thing I loved. I can't babysit your happiness. I won't babysit your happiness. I only crack open this chest full of misery before your dawn breaks me gorgeous fantasy. You were my poison, I took the pill, and still I thought you were the first perfect thing I loved. I can't babysit your happiness. I won't babysit your happiness. If you kiss me now, I swear I'd bleed again. And if you kiss me now, I'd hide it all, really just pretend. Babysit your happiness.